During the final centuries of antiquity, few could have imagined that a great civilization would one day rise from the barren deserts of the Arabian Peninsula. Yet, through vast conquests and enduring faith, caliphs and sultans came to rule over mighty empires, witnessing ages of immense prosperity and devastating turmoil alike. This is the story of 1,000 years of Islamic history, centered in the heart of the Middle East. In the 6th century, the Arabian Peninsula stood between two dominant powers, the Persian Sasanian Empire in the east and the Christian Byzantine Empire in the west. The Arabs of this land were a diverse people, mostly nomadic tribes bound by shared language and culture. Polytheism prevailed among them. Countless gods and idols filled their sanctuaries. But a profound transformation was about to begin. Around 570 CE, a man named Muhammad was born in the city of Mecca. According to Islamic belief, he was chosen by God as the final messenger in a long line of prophets, following Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. His mission was to restore true monotheism among the Arabs. Over many years, the revelations he received were gathered into the Quran, the sacred book of Islam. At first, Muhammad faced fierce persecution. But after migrating to the city of Medina, an event marking the beginning of the Islamic calendar, he established the foundations of a new faith. There, he united his followers, fought against idolaters, and brought together the scattered Arab tribes under a single banner of Islam. When Muhammad passed away in 632 CE, a great uncertainty followed. Who would lead the community he had built, spiritually, politically, and militarily? This question of rightful leadership would echo throughout Islamic history. Muhammad's successors took the title Caliph, meaning successor. The first four, known as the Rashidun or rightly guided caliphs, were selected for their closeness to the Prophet and their personal integrity. For 3 decades, they governed the early Muslim state, establishing its institutions, taxation systems, and administration. Under their leadership, the Caliphate expanded with astonishing speed, stretching from Persia to North Africa. The Byzantine Empire lost vast territories, while the once mighty Sasanian Empire collapsed entirely. In Islamic tradition, this era, the Age of the Rashidun, is remembered as the Golden Age, the time when the spirit of Islam shone at its brightest. Yet this golden era was shadowed by deep internal strife. Rivalries and political unrest tore through the early Muslim world, and 3 of the 4 rightly guided caliphs met their end through assassination. Much of the turmoil centered on Ali ibn Abi Talib, the Prophet Muhammad's cousin and son-in-law. His followers, who became known as the Shia, believed that Muhammad had explicitly chosen Ali as his rightful successor, making him and his descendants the only legitimate rulers of the Muslim community. Opposing them were those who did not accept this claim. They would later be called the Sunnis. Over time, this political dispute evolved into the greatest religious divide in Islam, one that endures to this day. In 661 CE, a new ruling family, the Umayyads, based in Syria, seized control. The capital of the Islamic world shifted from the Arabian Peninsula to Damascus, and with it came a fundamental change. The Caliphate transformed from an elective system into a dynastic monarchy, where power passed from father to son. Under the Umayyads, a second wave of conquests unfolded, forging an empire that stretched from Central Asia to the Iberian Peninsula. Their advance into Western Europe was halted at the Battle of Tours, where Frankish forces stopped the Muslim expansion, preventing Islam from spreading deeper into Europe. The Caliph Abdul-Malik centralized power in Damascus, strengthened the empire's Arab identity, refined its administration, and commissioned monumental works, most famously, the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. Yet beneath the surface, discontent simmered. Social divides, rebellions, and civil wars destabilized the Umayyad realm. The Battle of Karbala, where the Umayyads killed Ali's son Hussein, became a defining tragedy for the Shia and deepened the sectarian rift. By the mid-8th century, opposition forces coalesced into a powerful revolution. The Umayyad family was overthrown and massacred, ending their dynasty. Out of the chaos emerged a new ruling power, the Abbasids, a Sunni Arab family tracing their lineage to Abbas, the Prophet's uncle. In 750 CE, the Abbasids took control and ushered in a new era of stability. Their rule would endure for more than 5 centuries. Soon after their rise, Muslim armies triumphed over the Chinese Empire at the Battle of Talas, marking the easternmost reach of Islamic expansion. Unlike their predecessors, the Abbasids shifted focus inward, from conquest to consolidation. They founded a magnificent new capital, Baghdad. Within decades, it became the largest and most prosperous city on earth, a dazzling center of culture, learning, and innovation. Under Abbasid rule, the Islamic world flourished. Poets, scholars, physicians, philosophers, and astronomers thrived, laying the foundations of a civilization whose brilliance would illuminate the world for centuries to come. Scientific and philosophical works from Greek and other ancient languages were translated into Arabic, laying the groundwork for an extraordinary era of intellectual achievement. This vast body of knowledge became the foundation for new discoveries in mathematics, medicine, astronomy, and philosophy, marking what historians now call the Golden Age of Islamic civilization. During this flourishing age, the Abbasid Caliph Harun al-Rashid, immortalized in the tales of Arabian Nights, stood as a symbol of splendor and learning. A great patron of scholars and poets, he maintained diplomatic relations with Charlemagne, the ruler of the Frankish Empire, and even sent him a magnificent elephant, a gesture that astonished all of Europe. Yet even as Baghdad thrived, cracks began to appear in the empire's unity. From the mid-9th century onward, Abbasid control weakened. Local Muslim dynasties asserted their independence, carving out territories of their own. The once mighty caliph gradually lost political and military authority, reduced to a figurehead presiding over an increasingly fragmented realm. At the same time, the Arab monopoly on power within the Caliphate faded. Persian and Turkic influences rose to prominence, reshaping the identity of the Islamic world. Islam was no longer solely an Arab story. It had become a multicultural civilization, stretching across continents and peoples. In the West, the Abbasids never ruled the Iberian Peninsula. Instead, it was governed by remnants of the Umayyad dynasty, who established their own emirate and later caliphate in Cordoba. For centuries, Islamic Spain flourished as a beacon of art, architecture, and learning, even as it slowly receded under the pressure of the Christian Reconquista. In the East, new Persian dynasties rose in power, often at the Abbasids' expense. These regimes fueled a Persian cultural revival, restoring the language and traditions that had suffered under earlier Arab domination. Persian adopted the Arabic script and blossomed once more as a language of literature, science, and governance. In 945 CE, the Buyids, a Persian Shia family, seized control of Baghdad. Although they were Shia, they did not depose the Sunni Abbasid caliph. Instead, they retained him as a symbolic leader while ruling a confederation spanning Iraq and western Iran. Their dominance endured for over a century. Meanwhile, another Shia power, the Fatimid dynasty, emerged in North Africa. Claiming descent from Fatima, the Prophet's daughter and wife of Ali, the Fatimids were ambitious and ideologically driven. Expanding eastward, they conquered Egypt, founded Cairo as their capital, and established a rival shadow caliphate. From Cairo, the Fatimids called for the overthrow of the Abbasids, dispatched networks of Shia missionaries across the Muslim world, and stirred anxiety amongst Sunni rulers in Baghdad. Though their empire thrived for nearly 2 centuries, the Fatimids never succeeded in toppling the Abbasid Caliphate. During the 10th and 11th centuries, the vast Central Asian steppes were struck by political upheaval and climatic hardship, setting entire populations in motion. Among them were the Turkic tribes, nomadic peoples renowned for their mastery of horseback warfare, archery, and their resilient, mobile way of life. These tribes were destined to play a transformative role in the history of the Islamic world. Many of these Turkic tribes made their way into the Middle East, and their rise unfolded in 3 major stages: conversion, migration, and conquest. Most embraced Sunni Islam, settling across the Islamic heartlands and eventually seizing political power. In 1055 CE, the Seljuks, a powerful Sunni Turkic dynasty, captured Baghdad, ending Shia Buyid control. Their leader adopted the title of Sultan, a term that would define Muslim rulership in the Middle East for centuries to come. Though the Seljuks commanded real power, they maintained the Abbasid Caliph as a symbolic figurehead, recognizing his spiritual authority while exercising military and political control. Under the Seljuks, the Sunni world experienced a remarkable revival. They defended the Abbasids from the Shia Fatimids, reasserting Sunni dominance across the region. This relationship highlighted the caliph's enduring symbolic importance as the ultimate source of legitimacy in the Sunni Muslim world, even when stripped of true power. In 1071, the Seljuk Sultan Alp Arslan won a decisive victory over the Byzantine emperor at the Battle of Manzikert. The triumph opened Anatolia to Turkic settlement, transforming the region over the following centuries from a Greek Christian land into a Turkic Muslim one. The Sultanate of Rum, a Seljuk offshoot, became the dominant power in the area, laying the early foundations of what would eventually become modern Turkey. By the late 11th century, the Islamic world was politically fragmented when a new and unexpected challenge arose from Europe: the Crusades. In 1095, under the command of the Catholic Church, Western European knights launched a series of military campaigns to reclaim the Holy Land for what they called infidel Muslim rule. In the 12th century, a new Muslim hero emerged: Saladin, born Salah ad-Din Yusuf ibn Ayyub, a member of a Sunni Kurdish family. Charismatic, brilliant, and deeply religious, Saladin rose through the ranks to abolish the Shia Fatimid Caliphate in Egypt and establish the Ayyubid dynasty, ruling over Egypt and Syria. Saladin united the Muslim world under Sunni leadership and launched campaigns against the Crusaders. His greatest victory came in 1187, at the Battle of Hattin, where he crushed the Crusader forces and reclaimed Jerusalem for Islam. The defeat dealt a massive blow to Christian forces, though not a final one, as the Crusader states endured for another 100 years. The 13th century stands as a turning point in both Islamic and world history. Far to the northeast, across the cold steppes of Central Asia, a formidable new power was rising: the Mongols. United under the leadership of Genghis Khan, proclaimed ruler of all Mongol tribes, these nomadic warriors practiced a shamanic faith and were unmatched as mounted archers, much like the Turkic peoples to their west. Within only a few decades, Genghis Khan and his descendants forged the largest contiguous land empire in human history, an empire feared across continents for its speed, discipline, and ruthless efficiency. To many, the Mongols seemed unstoppable and merciless, an apocalyptic force sweeping from Asia to Europe. In a disastrous act of arrogance, the rulers of the Khwarezmian Empire ordered the execution of Mongol merchants sent by Genghis Khan. The retaliation was swift and catastrophic. The Mongols unleashed devastation across Iran and Central Asia, annihilating cities and erasing the Khwarezmian state from existence. In 1258, Hulagu's forces besieged Baghdad. The city, once the jewel of the Islamic Golden Age, was razed to the ground. Its people were massacred, and the legendary House of Wisdom, home to centuries of learning and priceless manuscripts, was destroyed. The Abbasid Caliph, captured alive, was rolled inside a carpet and trampled to death by horses, a grisly end to a dynasty that had ruled for over 500 years. The fall of Baghdad marked the end of the Islamic Golden Age, a moment of immense loss, both material and cultural, for the Muslim world. In 1260, at the Battle of Ain Jalut, the Mamluks achieved the impossible. They defeated the Mongols, halting their seemingly unstoppable advance for the first time in history. The Mamluk leader, Sultan Baybars, who played a crucial role in the victory, went on to crush the remaining Crusader strongholds, ensuring the final decline of Crusader presence in the Holy Land. These twin triumphs, against both the Mongols and the Crusaders, earned the Mamluks eternal fame as the defenders of Islam. To To further legitimize their rule, Baybars revived the Abbasid Caliphate in Cairo, though this new caliphate held only symbolic power. For the next 2.5 centuries, the Mamluk Sultanate ruled Egypt and Syria, standing as a bulwark of Islamic strength. Meanwhile, by the close of the 13th century, the once unified Mongol Empire had fractured into several regional khanates, each ruled by descendants of Genghis Khan. Powerful, but no longer united under a single conqueror. Many of the Mongol successor states, along with their ruling elites, eventually converted to Islam and adopted Turkic languages, blending steppe traditions with Islamic culture. One such dynasty was the Ilkhanate, founded by Hulagu Khan's descendants, which ruled a vast region stretching from Anatolia to Iran. The Ilkhanids demonstrated that the Mongols were not merely ruthless destroyers. They could also be patrons of art, science, and economic revival. Under their reign, cities were rebuilt, trade routes reopened, and scholarship flourished once again. But like many empires before them, their power was not eternal. The Ilkhanate collapsed in the 14th century, giving way to another conqueror, a man whose name would echo with both terror and admiration. Timur, also known as Tamerlane. Timur, a Turco-Mongol warlord, forged a massive empire through campaigns of devastating brutality. Entire cities were razed and countless lives were lost. Yet from the ashes of his conquests rose a renaissance of culture and art. The Timurid Empire, centered in Samarkand and Herat, became a beacon of architecture, science, and Persian literature. It was a stark paradox, proof that violence and cultural brilliance could coexist. Though Timur's empire fragmented by the late 15th century, his legacy endured, shaping the politics and art of Central Asia and beyond. In 1453, the Ottomans achieved one of the most momentous victories in history, the conquest of Constantinople. The 1,000-year-old Byzantine Empire came to an end, and the fall of the city, later renamed Istanbul, is often seen as the symbolic end of the Middle Ages. Istanbul became the heart of a new empire and the crossroads of two worlds, East and West. Under Sultan Selim I, known as Selim the Grim, the Ottoman Empire expanded dramatically, tripling its size through conquest and the use of gunpowder weaponry, which revolutionized warfare. In 1517, Selim captured Cairo, defeated the Mamluk Sultanate, and brought an end to the Abbasid Caliphate that had persisted symbolically in Egypt. Declaring himself caliph, Selim became the new spiritual and political leader of Sunni Islam. At its height, the Ottoman Empire ruled vast territories across the Middle East, North Africa, and southeastern Europe, uniting diverse peoples under a single imperial banner. Meanwhile, to the east, two other great Islamic empires rose to prominence. The Shia Safavid Empire in Persia, which laid the foundation for modern Iran, and the Mughal Empire in India, which fused Persian, Turkic, and Indian traditions into a uniquely rich civilization. Together, these three states, the Ottoman, Safavid, and Mughal empires, became known as the Gunpowder Empires, marking an era of remarkable military innovation, artistic splendor, and imperial stability. Of them, the Ottoman Empire endured the longest, a vast and powerful caliphate that lasted for 6 centuries. It finally collapsed in the 20th century in the aftermath of the First World War, bringing to an end the last great Islamic empire, and with it, the long and storied age of the caliphates. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Banner and Battlement, where the echoes of the past still speak.